Happy Friday, Battleground Culinary Arts and Baking and Pastry Arts students. This is Chef Fritz giving you a quick walkthrough on Friday. It's going to take about 5 minutes for me to go through and discuss our week. First and foremost, I wanted to congratulate you on a good lab this week. Overall, I think we had about a 95% um, successful completion rate on measuring this week. We had a couple labs late in the day, one that created cookies that were short on butter. It was clear. The cookies became really cakey. They were dry and low on fat. Lean would be the baking and pastry term for that, which was an indication. And then they verified they mismeasured the butter. And then one other team had really runny cookies, which was an indication, even though they felt like they measured everything properly, an indication of too much butter. And so again, just to reinforce the importance of making sure we measure properly, spend that extra time. Remember, we have measuring quizzes that will begin this week and sustain for the next 3 weeks. And so do know that you want to study that handout that I gave you to reinforce the content from this week and to ensure you have a clear understanding about measuring as we go into this next round of activities related to in the culinary arts class basic knife skills and the baking and pastry class intro skills as it relates to rolling out a dough. So really quickly, I know we're still combining assignments. There is a lot that's due. I want you to first and foremost know that I know that I was the one out sick and had surgery, and so I'm not penalizing you for that at all. The content that was supposed to be covered last week and even into this week that has been pushed out, I appreciate that we stayed on track and did the lab, and we'll continue to do labs no matter what. But because that content being pushed out, I need to spend some time on food safety and sanitation early next week and get us caught up there. I want to create the opportunity for students to take the health card test, hopefully by the end of next week. So that opportunity will present itself. So with that being said, I want to quickly, we sort of talked about the cookies already. I want to talk about just some things that are due right now. And I'm going to release you to work as I call it, an independent learning time, release you to work independently. I'll be walking around. Grading is nearly caught up from the time that I was out sick. I have a few more assignments that I'll wrap up today. I give you my word that here on Friday, I will do an update in Skyward, so long as Skyward is back up and running, right? And so I'll do a great update in Skyward today at the end of the day with everything in Google Classroom being caught up. There are a couple of business pieces that I'll mention as well in terms of how to submit your grades for Rouxbe. That's something I want to go over briefly here. And so just looking at the screenshot or the screen in front of you, one thing that I would just want to encourage you, consider making sure that you have your shared folder set up for sharing pictures, right? That's one thing that you want to get done. That's not a graded assignment, but that's something that helps you have a tool to be successful. I know that many of you were really light on taking pictures in the lab this week and sort of didn't have that routine. That's fine. Do the best when you submit your SLAT today. Do your best to connect pictures the best you can. And again, we're learning how to learn in this class, and I'll grade this first SLAT with a little bit of leniency, just understanding that it's taken some time for you to learn how to execute the SLAT on a weekly basis. And then we'll increase next week. We'll increase that expectation just a little bit. You should have completed already this week, and this was, what was due when the subs were covering for me last week. The kitchen safety and operations quiz should have been wrapped up by early this week was when I covered that material. You should have wrapped that up. I gave you time in class. Your hand washing lab, I gave you time on Thursday to complete that if you haven't submitted. And all you have to do for the hand washing lab, 2 pictures in the S slide of you washing your hands and then submit. Okay, that's all you have to do to complete that. The pre-quiz for food safety and sanitation should already be completed, but the post-quiz, because I haven't covered that material, has not been required to be completed yet. We'll give you ample time in class to do that early next week after I cover that material. If you've already done the post quiz for food safety and sanitation, but didn't get a good score, feel free to ask me to reset that for you. I'd be glad to do that. Measuring lab slat. So that's the lab slat from making cookies this week. That is due today here in class. That's what I'm going to give you the remainder of the class period to work on, along with any of these assignments that are incomplete at this point. And then, as I said, the grade update will be that I will make sure to be caught up on grading today before I walk out of school, and ensure that those grades, so long as Skyward is up, I'll do an update in Skyward. The Chef of the Week schedule was already required to be completed. I'm going to ask that you just push that out till next week. No penalty. I won't grade those until I give you time in class to complete it. And then the food safety sanitation post quiz, again, don't complete that till I've done the instruction. I want to talk really briefly about how to submit your scores for Rouxbe. I've been getting a mixed submission there, and so I'm going to briefly talk about that. So let me just jump forward here to that content so I can, this is all the stuff that we missed last week when I was out for surgery, and so we'll get this all caught up. I want to just briefly talk about submitting your scores in your Rouxbe assignments in Google Classroom. So I'm just moving ahead here. I apologize. This is all the content that should have been taught while I was in the hospital. So we'll get this done early next week, along with staying on target for the labs that are up and coming. So let me just finish this, and I know that I've got an update right here. We go. All right. So when you're submitting a screenshot for Rouxbe, you're going to complete the lesson or course in Rouxbe, and then you're going to have on that final assessment, you're going to have a screenshot. It's like task 34 for the food safety course. You're going to have a final screenshot for that assessment. The box isn't as gray as it used to be, but there's still sort of a box here, and it gives you a score. It says you have scored 7 out of 15. What I need is the number 7. Now, you're going to see when you submit Rouxbe assignments in my class, you're also going to see that sometimes there's a requirement to submit 2 Rouxbe scores because there's 2 Rouxbe assignments for that week. So if you got 7 on one assignment and 7 on the other, you'd add 7 and 7 together, and you would put that in the yellow box. So just noticing here, there's a lot of other screenshots I've been seeing. We want to avoid those. Any individual reports that are percentage based aren't helpful in the grading process. Really what I want to see is in the yellow box, your numerical score. You just double click. Again, I'll repeat that. You double click on the yellow box, type in the score you received, but not the percent. Okay, even students returning from last semester have been typing in percents again. Again, the percent is not helpful. Then I have to go back and do a conversion for your grade. So I'm asking you to double click on the yellow box. Don't insert your own text box there. Just double click and type in the score you received. So if you received 27 out of 30 or 30 out of 30, this is the right answer. Right here on the screen on the left-hand side is what I want to see. Okay. So again, no slashes, 33 out of 36. I just want the 33 coming from this particular screenshot. Okay. I need your name on the screenshot. Baking and pastry, it's a little bit harder when we get into your courses because the formatting, but it's really an imperative that you put the scores in properly so I can grade it quickly and get it turned back to you. Also in Rouxbe, you have the option of resetting quizzes. Reset the quizzes through me. Don't go through Rouxbe to do that because it takes longer for them to allow you to reset it. Just ask me and I'll be glad to reset it. You can email me or hit me and remind and ask me to reset and give me the name of the particular lesson or course you want reset, and I'm glad to reset it. Flambeing, I'll talk about that next week. And again, you're going to focus on the last task is the only score that I want from Rouxbe. In any lesson or quiz that you do, the last task is what I want you to do. It's like going through a textbook, and this is the final assessment at the end of the chapter. So again, you're going to import 1 or 2 lessons in either of these 2 boxes. Okay, just the final assessment score, not the percent. You're going to give me the screenshot verification. Just click on here and import it. And then you're going to add these scores together. Or if it's just one lesson or course, you're going to just double click on the yellow box and input the score there. Okay. So I wanted just to let you know, I've already received some Rouxbe submissions, and that's great that some students are leaning forward, but I wanted to make sure you could be successful with that. The effort that you put forward in our lab, I'm not going to listen to the hand washing song right now. The effort that you've put forward in the lab, SLAT, just give it your best, okay? Make sure the orange slides you collaborate and share the pictures, and the green slides are original, authentic reflection for you. And again, this is just a quick overview. This isn't what we want, right? We don't want percentages, all right? We don't want text boxes inputted for Rouxbe. We want just to score double-clicked in the yellow box. And then I will give you feedback. And then this is an example of what the hand washing slat should look like. It's just two pictures imported in the slide, okay? And then your score, okay? So I think I've covered this in depth enough. And this is really, again, looking for that big numerical score there for your Rouxbe submissions. If you have questions about this, I'm glad to help you all day long. I'll be walking around, checking in as I'm doing grading. Again, I want you to work today on winner chicken dinner here. Work today on submitting your food safety Rouxbe, or in culinary arts, food safety and knife skills Rouxbes. And then double click, get your numerical score in there, and give me the screenshot if it's one lesson, or two screenshots if it's two lessons. Get those done and work on your baking or your measuring lab today, and get that SLAT inputted. And we'll catch up on this information. Hand washing lab right here, two pictures of you washing your hands, okay, is what we're looking for, okay? If you have questions, just let me know, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.